Hello, my name is Steve Hand. I'm a licensed psychologist in Pennsylvania, and I've been practicing for 42 years. The name of this series is called Self-Improvement for Normal People. The reason I have decided to make these short videos is to help people make better lives for themselves. And I felt that in addition to providing counseling services, that I could reach more people if I made short but useful videos. So that's why I'm doing this. My approach will be to, again, offer short videos because the average person has a rather short attention span. And I'd rather express myself in a clear way so that you can take home a certain point and use it and benefit from it, rather than being long-winded and making a long, elaborate speech in which you understand very little. So I'm going to try to make these very practical. Now, the reason I say for normal people is that the word normal to a psychologist means average. And since most of us fall within the average range, I want to speak to you to be of the most use for you. So I would like to hear from you. I would like to know what your questions are. I'd be happy to try to answer them. You can click the like button if you like this, or subscribe, or both. So some of the topics that I've thought about that the average person might be interested in is, for example, the management of emotions, better communication, better relationships, because a psychologist deals with the relationship between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So I think you'll find out that many of our issues relate to how we handle our emotions, how we think, and what we decide to do. And even in terms of looking at current events, and we've been in this pandemic for about the past 2 years, and there have been so many problematic issues that this has caused for most people. The way a psychologist views it may be a little bit different than the average person. And I'd like to give you some tips about that too. So, I can talk about critical thinking skills. I'd like to talk about self-esteem. I'll talk about problem solving and decision making, keeping an open mind, assertiveness skills, how to handle anger. So there are tons of different topics I can talk about. This is going to be different for me than providing counseling, because counseling is an interactive approach. But what I'm doing now will be more of a teaching. And I'm going to talk to you directly. So I'm going to try to talk in a way that will engage with you. When I worked at a prison, I did some part-time work at a state prison. And I did groups with inmates on a variety of topics, inmates who are having trouble functioning in the prison setting. And I remember after one group, one guy told another staff member, he was talking about me, he said, "Who's that guy in there who talks like Mr. Rogers?" And So the staff member told me about it later, and I thought, well, that's a compliment because actually Mr. Fred Rogers uh, spoke. He was very not only intelligent, but he could he could really connect with kids, and in many ways, adults are big kids. So most of you guys, you're adults, but you know you're also a kid. So some of these topics may seem very simple in the way I phrase things, but that's okay. I want to keep it simple. I'm not going to talk in psychobabble or any long psychological terms. I'm not going to get intellectual. Okay, I'm going to talk in terms that you understand. Another Rogers, who was really great, by the way, it was a Carl Rogers. And he was a guy, I think he probably started practicing psychology in the 1930s or 40s or 50s, but he talked about something called client-centered counseling. And to me, that means I'm listening to the client about what their concerns are, and I'm not judging them. I'm helping them to solve their own problems. So um, when you go to see a psychologist, my view of it is that you don't go to a psychologist to know if there's something wrong with you. You go there because you're working on a problem, and the psychologist helps you deal more effectively with that problem. So I'm very much in favor of that approach. So again, my name is Steve Hand. This is called Self-Improvement for Normal People. I believe that the average person does struggle in life. None of us can escape from pain and hardship and loss and frustration. I don't know anyone who doesn't struggle. So I just want to help you think about things in ways that makes the struggling less difficult, and hopefully increase the amount of joy in your life. All right, so I'd love to hear from you, and hope I see you again.